top story this morning, and the situation in Greece is one of the lead topics at that G20 meeting in France. Our Europe correspondent Philip Williams is in Cannes with world leaders, and he joins us now via broadband. Phil, good morning. Clearly, the Greek situation is heavily overshadowing this meeting of world leaders.
Absolutely. Heads are spinning here. Things have been changing so rapidly overnight for you, during the day for us. At one stage, we were sure the government had fallen, that they were that the Prime Minister, George Papandreou, was going to the President to ask that a new government be formed, a government of national unity, that he was resigning. But that was not the case. These were rumours that were circulating around, and he came out and said, no, I'm staying. But the referendum that started this latest crisis all off, well, that's off. It wasn't that vital after all. It's caused a lot of trouble. He's had insurrection within his own party. He's had 4 ministers come out against the referendum proposal. But he's still there for the moment. Tomorrow he faces a no-confidence motion. The government does. We'll see if they get through that. But it's been a hairy old ride, and of course the delegates here have been almost punch-drunk trying to work out, A, what's happening, B, who they're going to be dealing with this crisis anyway. But for the moment there's a slight lull, enough for our Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, to just warn everybody involved here that there are very high stakes for everybody around the world. Here's a little of what she said in a press conference just a few moments ago.
It is very important indeed, it is crucial that what was agreed on the 27th of October now is spelt out in detail and is implemented. And non-European G20 countries also have a role to play in working on IMF resourcing to send a message of confidence to markets that the world is prepared to come together and come together through the International Monetary Fund to ensure that it has the resources available to deal with any emerging problems in the global economy.
The Prime Minister there, and Phil Williams, it is hard to underestimate the level of anxiety and frustration felt by many world leaders. You touched on it before, but people like President Obama, Angela Merkel from Germany, Nicolas Sarkozy in France must be getting very antsy about the febrile situation in Athens.
Yes, so much frustration because they'd hoped they'd put that one to bed, that there was at least a plan. Yes, all the details hadn't been worked out, but there was a structure there. And then that all fell apart, emergency meetings with Papandreou here in Cannes, then all the drama today over whether the government would survive. Yes, they feel like the agenda has been hijacked, and broader questions about how to boost employment around the world. All the usual sort of other peripheral matters, you know, improving health, education, scientific exchange, all of that on hold, not quite out the window, but certainly not centre stage, all because of one country. But it's a very important situation, as the Prime Minister said, that if this contagion continues and spreads to a country like Italy, then Europe has a terrible, terrible problem on its hands. And clearly the mechanism for getting countries like Italy out of trouble now is potentially the IMF, and that's what the Prime Minister has flagged, that the IMF now is the premier organisation to help countries like Italy in the future, and that the Eurozone's obviously, well, let's be blunt about it, they seen a lot of what they've done the last few months as dithering. That the IMF is the one to go for, but of course needs many more resources and needs billions of extra dollars in the war chest, and Australia of course will contribute to that to some extent. We just don't know how much yet.
And just quickly, Phil, Prime Minister Gillard must be looking at events in Greece and thinking that, gee, her own domestic political dramas aren't so bad after all, but she hasn't managed to escape continued questions about her leadership.
No, she did. She was talking about jobs and improving job situations throughout the world. But, of course, then there was the inevitable question about her own job, because while she's been gone, there's been more and more speculation of a possible coup plot, that Kevin Rudd might be attempting to come back, etc., etc. Here's a little of the question and how she batted that off just a few moments ago.
Look, I'm at the G20 focused on what is a very difficult set of global economic circumstances and the appropriate response.
That's the Prime Minister, Julia Gillard there. Phil Williams at Cannes at the G20 meeting. Thanks very much for summing up what has been a pretty frenzied day there.
Thank you.